Hey, what's going on, guys? Uh, Today I want to show you a little something that I came up with a couple of weeks ago. It's a little tool that I'm using recently. One of the most common questions you hear in iRacing shortly before a race is, does anybody have a setup to share? Which isn't really much of a problem to me because I usually work on my own setups. But the other very frequent question you get is, what's the amount of fuel necessary to complete the race? Now with that one, I was always using a technique called swag, and by swag, it's a term coined by Carlos Hadcock. He was a famous U.S. Marine that served in Vietnam, and he used that to adjust his windage during long range shooting. And swag stands for scientific wild ass gas, and that was basically the technique that I was using to calculate the amount of fuel necessary for a race. Yeah, that was one of the techniques I used. The other technique was to simply top off the fuel tank and go out, do as many laps as I could, and then top off the fuel tank again and just complete the race. But of course, this adds unnecessary weight to the car, and obviously it hurts performance. So after a while, I decided that it was time to come up with a little tool or something that I could use to calculate the exact amount of fuel necessary. And this is the thing that I came up with right here. It's a very simple tool. Used an Excel sheet here to make this calculator. And all you got to do is fill in the amount of fuel necessary per lap. In this case, we need 10 laps right here. These green boxes, this green column, and along with the amount of laps that the race is worth. In this case, well, we'll get that in a little moment. But the green boxes that you see here, these are the boxes that need to be filled to get the amount of fuel here on these yellow boxes. Now, to get the amount of fuel per lap, you need a program or a software like maybe Motec or Atlas. I use Motec. It's the one that I've been using since forever. And basically what you have to do is you need to go out on the racetrack and do at least 15 laps at full racing speed. And the reason you want to do at least 15 is because you want to get 10 decent lap times, like you see right here. This is a Phillip Island, by the way, with the V8 supercar. I know it says BMW up here, but never mind that. With the V8 supercar, the Holden, and I did 23 laps. And as you can see here, from lap 4 all the way down, you see very consistent lap times. 1:33, 33, 33, 33. Not the fastest laps on the land, but they're consistent. And once you get at least 10 of those consistent lap times, if you click on this button here on the upper left corner of the software, I'm using Project 2015. That's the workbook that I'm using by Peter Chamberlain. It's a very good workbook. It's very, very popular. A lot of drivers are using this. So if you're using that, go up to here, the number one option that says one-stop shop. Click on that and then scroll to the left until you see fuel pedal usage report. Let me just get this a little bit bigger here. And this is what you get. You get the fuel consumption in US gallons, fuel consumption in pounds, and I modified this for fuel consumption in liters, which is what I'm using. So, as you can see, with every lap, you see the consumption in not only in liters, but also in gallons. And you can use that, by the way, on the little tool here on the calculator. You can use either gallons or imperial or the metric system, doesn't matter. Okay, so once you get those lap times along with the fuel consumption, I'm just going to get this closer here. We'll start to fill these numbers here over here on this green column. So we'll start with lap 4, which is the first consistent lap time, which is 3:42. We'll click on that. 3:42. And you can tell as soon as I started adding numbers here, you can see the sum and the average begin to add up here automatically, along with the amount of fuel necessary to complete the race. Okay, so we're 3:42 now. Let's go to 3:47. Bear with me here, guys. Oops. And there you have it. We get the sum, which is not necessarily important. I mean, I just placed that just because I could. It doesn't really serve any function or anything. And this one here, the average, this is something that you definitely need. This is very important right here. In this case, we got 342 liters per lap as average. And now, if we move up here, we see the number of laps per race. In this case, we were racing at Phillip Island, which is a 35 lap race. So we click on that and we add in 35, and there you have it. This is the amount of fuel necessary to complete a race with the Holden. But as you all know, it doesn't, the Holden's fuel tank doesn't hold 120 liters of fuel. So there has to be a pit stop. And we get two options here. We got one pit stop and we got a 2 pit stop strategy, depending on how you feel, what strategy to pursue. In this case, for example, if we go for one pit stop, we'll need at least 69 liters of fuel. And that 69 liters of fuel will give us 20 laps. And the way I came up with this number was that I took this number here, 120, divided it by 2, because it's obviously a pit stop there, and then added a 15% surplus, because obviously you want to have a little bit more fuel than threshold, because if you go for threshold, most likely you're going to end up running out of fuel with 1 or maybe 2 laps remaining on the race. It's happened to me repeatedly, and I've seen a lot of guys. This is a common problem, by the way. A lot of guys are left without fuel on the last lap. So yeah, with 69 laps here, it'll give us 20 laps. And obviously, that'll be like a 5 lap surplus there, which is obviously something that you want. Again, if you go for a 2 pit strategy here, you'll be needing to add 46 liters of fuel, and that will give you 13 laps. I've done some testing with this thing. It's not just something that I came up with and then began to implement it without any testing. Obviously, I did some testing, and yeah, these numbers are right on the money. That's the amount of fuel the amount of laps that the car will give you with this amount of fuel. And like I said, you can use gallons here. I mean, all you have to do is here, for example, you got US gallons, and this is the amount of gallons used. 0.90, 0.92, 0.92 again. You add those numbers here, and then you add the number of laps that the race is worth, and you get the numbers right here. The amount of gallons necessary to complete the race. And this is obviously something that's very, very, it gives you an advantage, because if you go out with full fuel tank, the car actually takes a little bit longer to get up to speed, because of the amount of weight that's the surplus weight that's on the car. Whereas if you start the fuel tank with a fuel tank level, say, of 85 liters, and I start with 69, when obviously my car is going to accelerate a little bit faster, and this will give me an advantage. So you definitely want to have that tool like this to aid in your racing efforts. I'm not sure exactly if I want to upload this on the forums in iRacing. I mean, if I see a lot of guys asking for it, I'm definitely going to make it available. Like I said, it's a very simple tool. You can do this. I did this in like 20 minutes, so it doesn't require like a rocket scientist. It did require me to go through, you know, through Google, looking for for a brush up on my Excel functions and formulas, because you can see here you got quite a few. These are in Spanish, by the way, but there you have the average, the sum. This is the product, which is the multiplication, and this is a division right here. You need these formulas here to make this work. But like I said, I mean, it's a piece of cake, to be honest. So yeah, I mean, let me guys know what you think about this. Maybe if you want this, I can make it available. Just let me know in the comments section, and as soon as I see some oh man, I forgot the word, some interest, then yeah, go ahead, ask for it. I'm more than happy to make it available to you guys. So yeah, as a New Year's resolution, I'm hoping to get at least 1,000 subscribers on my channel for this year. So if you guys want to help, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and hopefully I'll see you guys on the racetrack soon. Okay, thank you for watching, and bye bye.